discussion is what we call gray divorce. Now, gray divorce is when a person is 50 or older, the gray hair, even, it's under the dye. Anyway, people are getting divorced more and more over the age of 50. A matter of fact, divorce rates have slowed down or gone down, but have gone up to almost 40% of people getting divorced now are over the age of 50. Let me get Laura on, and hopefully this time we won't have technical issues. Okay. Laura to get on. 36 to 40% of all divorces in the United States involves people over the age of 50. And 9% of that are 65 and older. So imagine you're with the same person for decades, right? And and then you are both working and you decide that now the kids are gone, that you look at each other and you don't want to be married anymore. And I think society is okay with that now, where it wasn't that way in the past. Okay, Laura, where are you? Oh my goodness. Oh, you're there. Yay!
We are back in business.
Okay, so I just gave a little step. But most importantly, it is more acceptable in society to get divorced, not just because there has to be a reason like abuse, but because you find yourself at a stage in life where maybe, let's just give an example, you have two people who are working really hard and they don't see each other that much. What brings them together are their children. They go to their events. They are hyper-focused on their children. The children go off to school or up to life and live life out of the house. And all of a sudden they're faced with each other. Maybe they're retiring. Maybe they're even in their 60s, right?
Right.
So like, oh my God, I don't want to be here. Because now these days, thank goodness, people live longer. So you look ahead and you're like, oh my God, I've got another 10, 20, 30, 40 years. We live to 100. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I really want to be with this person. But with those changes comes a whole myriad of positive and negatives, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
that's for sure.
And in society, it's just more accepting now. You don't, as I said, it doesn't have to be a major reason. There doesn't have to be infidelity. It could be, but there doesn't have to be infidelity. There doesn't have to be abuse. You
right.
can just, society's better at accepting two people that are not there anymore, not in love anymore, not
right.
good with each other as a marriage. But again, you could be together for decades and decades and then you're left with, oh my God, I built my life with this person. I saw myself in the rocking chair. I saw myself getting older.
Yeah.
Finances are combined. Everything's combined. Oh my God, now what, right?
Yeah, that's definitely, there's that grieving part. Because I didn't know I was in abuse until after our divorce. And I had all that, the grieving, the deciding, like, wait, I built this entire life with somebody for 33 years and now we're going to retire and we're going to do all these things. But now I'm not going to. And that was really hard. And I didn't know I was going to be grieving. I have no idea why. Probably because I'd never been through it before. And so I had friends who were telling me, you're going to grieve. And so you're not only grieving what you're going through, but you're grieving the dream that you had, the potential of the future. And so that's been hard. And like any grieving process, it's not linear and it's kind of a mess and you kind of go back and forth and it'll feel good when it feels good and you take it along with you for the ride. It's kind of part of you for your life. You grow around it. And yeah, I mean, sometimes I still think about that. I'm like, that's such a shame. Not that I would have enjoyed myself with him because I didn't want to be married to him anymore, but that part makes me sad.
You sound like the concept, you like being married though, or like
well, yeah, and having somebody in the dreams we were building, but the emotional abuse part, I could have not had that part.
Component of abuse. So that's something that
Yeah. Exactly.
Even so, you didn't realize it at the time until looking back, you did have it and you're much better. You yourself are much better. Not in that relationship.
I think it was interesting listening to a podcast yesterday about great divorce and the woman who said that they retired and then 3 months later they were getting a divorce. But it's so true. I did think about that. And I think that's why, you know, kids go off to college and then you're there with your partner and you go, oh no, like, do I even like them anymore? Have we grown and changed? And if you've been with somebody for a long time, you've grown and changed into different people. Has everyone grown and changed the same? And I think there's something to be said about really knowing yourself and saying, like, this isn't what I want anymore. This isn't serving me, and being honest about that. And now women have um, more rights and more, what am I trying to say?
Well,
Opportunities,
they're the workforce. They actually can work. It's
Yes.
acceptable. Many times they have been working. But what happens if you're both in retirement age now? And so both
Yes.
people are not bringing in the money. You're not getting it. In the old days when people got divorced, the husband gave them alimony. If they're the breadwinner, she was home for.
Yeah.
It was very pro. That dynamic, and that's not the same anymore.
Right.
So there's a financial struggle. I mean, people when they think about it, you look forward and you say, okay, we're going to get divorced, but there's going to be less money because now everything's split.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely a diminished lifestyle, and somehow they've done some figures where the men only, they're diminished, but it's much worse for women.
Yeah.
And so they have to, they're looking at these different lifestyles, and people have to weigh, do I
Hmm.
stay with this person and have parallel play, but at
Right.
least the same house and let's just talk about the other piece too, the social piece. So
Yeah.
you're together as a couple, and you've got other couple friends, and you see
Mhm.
everyone you said, say you see them on weekends, you travel together, this is even before you have the dreams of your future traveling together that you're going to lose. I know for me, when I got divorced, my friends would see me during female get-togethers. I was not asked to ever go to dinners and stuff with them when they're going as couples, and these
Ah,
are people
okay.
decades,
Yeah.
and and ever. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
I think I had two friends that would let me come on sometimes with them
Yeah.
about, and and it was very noticeable. And I'm a hospice social worker, and I saw that with people who were widowed too, females that were widowed too. They were not
Yes.
to
Yeah.
events that were coupled.
Yeah.
Both them and me were invited, and other divorced women as well. I can't speak for men. I'll give
Yeah.
it about.
Yeah, that's
Um,
hard. Yeah, I mean, that is
it
hard
was a
for
little bit
sure.
more because I
Yeah.
think that women are taking care of the men, like like single land or widowed men. I think they're brought into the couple life, but women, it's my experience. And I don't know how you felt. Were you still going to coupled?
No, I wasn't going to couples things. Occasionally here and there, I would get invited to a dinner at home or something, those kinds of things at the beginning. But after that, no. And then I think people, and even my kids at the begin, well, one of my kids at the beginning was like, because his dad had somebody else, they were like, we want you to be happy. I want you to be happy, mom. And like, to them, happy equated to another partner. And I said, well, I am happy. And so also when I was at these dinners, sometimes it would be like, oh, are you going to date? Are you going to, like, you're
Automatic.
only you're alone, you got to get somebody, or you're not complete or something. I have no idea, I'm just speculating. But that's how, those were the conversations, not really all the time, how are you doing, but are you ready to date? And it's like, I'm
So
not even recovered.
well, right, exactly. But I don't think people who haven't been through it understand there's a grieving, like you said, there's a grieving process that
Yeah.
should. There's time for you to build the pain, to work through the pain and work
Yeah.
through. Even if you didn't love the person anymore, there's still pain and there's still loss.
Oh yeah.
So now we're talking about friends. So you're losing the friend, you're losing your identity as a wife. You're losing your
Yeah.
identity as a couple. You're losing your identity. People see you differently. You're losing your identity. People are, like you said, trying to match you up as if that's you. It's not okay to be alone. So
Right.
now, you know, there's a lot of losses that comes with that. Mr. and Mrs. thing.
Yeah.
Sadly, know, it's true. And let me talk about the children's situation too, because
Right.
I think there was an assumption that everyone who even wants to get divorced younger, you wait for the kids to go out, right? You wait
Yeah.
for them to leave because it's better for the kids, because they shouldn't have their teenage years or their youth years turned upside
Right.
down with visitation, all that stuff. At least when they're older. But they found that a lot of adult children do have a lot of trouble with,
Yeah.
even if there's a reason, if they could see a reason, they have a lot of trouble with this. They have to go through a grieving process. Not everybody, but some of them go through a
Yeah.
grieving too. And then the parents are left feeling guilty and
Oh
bad
yeah.
about it. And, you know, and sometimes the kids don't know how to handle it. And sometimes there's a reverse role because let's say there's a divorce where one parent still has more money and the other parent doesn't. So sometimes the kids feel like they have
Yeah.
to take care of the other parent or they're emotionally need to be taken care of. So then there's a little bit of a parent reverse role because now
Mm-hmm.
they're taking care of the heartbroken parent or they're taking care of that and they don't know what to now all of a sudden they have the same issues. Where do I go for holidays? Where do I go for this? And they're
Mm-hmm.
pissed. Sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're misplaced anger, but they're
Right.
angry, hurt there. So
Right.
not waiting until they're older isn't necessarily, I personally think that for kids as a therapist,
Yeah.
um, if it's a volatile home, stop where that's when you leave. Like you don't
Yeah.
older because it's
Right.
important. A good divorce, a good separation, a healthy
Yeah.
separation is much better than a bad marriage.
Yeah. And I think the statistics are there to show that too, that, as two quote unquote healthy homes is better than one unhealthy home. And not to mention, I think about what did I teach my kids? What did I teach, my daughters, my sons? What did I teach them to how to be in a marriage, how to abandon yourself? Like, I mean, that's what I did for 33 years. I abandoned myself. But they saw me healing even before the marriage was over. I was healing. And they,
What can you
my old,
what
what's
did that
that?
what did that look like to show healing when you were actually in the marriage?
It was, I wasn't as high strung about everything. I started to like learn about boundaries. I didn't quite know about that. I started to understand like what was my responsibility in this world and what wasn't. Like when people, whoever it was, family or maybe my ex, if he was upset or my family was upset with something, I knew that my responsibility was not their emotions. It like if they're mad at me, they're mad at me. But if I'm going to have a boundary, then this is the way it's going to be if that's what's best for me. So I think they saw me standing up for myself a lot more because I'd never done that ever. And, I don't know if we want to talk about, because I had grown kids when we got divorced and, it's a different situation. But when we first got divorced, I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. And I think it was still hard for the kids, but they did congratulate me that for making this kind of a choice for my happiness, for my future, because they knew I was not happy. And then okay, so when they started to see their dad on his own, and then with a new person, it was confusing to them. And then also they started to see him differently. And so now, I mean, later on we figured out he's a narcissist. And so he's been doing a lot of lying. And that to them, that was the hardest part for them because for their whole life. So my oldest was 29. So for 29 years, we showed them how to have integrity and how to be in this world and all, social justice and all these things. And then he did, whatever the things he was doing, he was lying. We were,
So
all these things, we were unraveling all these things.
it wasn't
That
consistent,
was,
right? Because it
well,
wasn't what he was teaching.
yes,
Not
that
just
was the hardest part for them. They told me
get it. So tell me how old they were when you split. Was the
29, 27 and 24, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And so,
their
yeah,
world as they knew it is like for you too, all of you.
yeah, for all of us. And so it was really hard. And so even now they struggle with that because what he said to them growing up, what we all said growing up, I've apologized for things that I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have put so much pressure on them and certain things because that was the pressure that he put on the family because that was the kind of life he was brought up in. You have to be the best. Like you go to high school and you're the best in high school and then you go to college and you get married and you have kids, like all this. And I'm like, it's so much pressure. Like not everybody, like my youngest had barely graduated high school, and it's like, that's okay. Nobody's walking around going, hey, what was your grade point average? Like nobody's doing that. And he has a nice life now. It's like, I don't worry about those things, but we put so much pressure. So I've apologized for a lot of that pressure that we put on them. And so we've had a lot of healing, but with the relationship with their dad, it's not the same healing, especially if he's a narcissist. He doesn't think he's done anything wrong, and he has actually said that. And so, I think there's something to be said about when your kids are grown and changing your whole life no matter what's happening. There's something to be said about being vulnerable and saying like, I'm gonna figure this out, and hopefully it won't cause too much turmoil, but we're gonna figure it out together.
Right. And you're teaching them to be vulnerable, which is a good thing with the
Yeah.
right. And you're teaching them that we work together as a family. It's
Right.
great skills.
Right, exactly. And if you guys are here watching, thank you so much for doing that. And feel free to leave a question or anything. There is one question about why are there less divorces? Why are there less divorce rates in Asian countries? I don't know, and we're only talking about the U.S. today. I don't know what their rights are, stuff like that. The way that divorce rates are actually, I think they said the divorce rates are pretty low right now. But even though women have a lot more choices, I don't remember what the stats were that they said on the podcast. So you'll have to look that up yourself, Muscles Galore.
And I had the stats in my blog that will be on, I think, tomorrow.
Okay, great. Yes, check out Jessica's blog. Yes.
But not for Asia. So I will look that up
Not for
for you.
Asia, no, because we're only talking about US because that's
But
what
yeah,
we're working
we'll
with.
look.
Yeah.
Maybe it's cultural. Maybe it's, I think that
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
here it became more acceptable. But
Right.
there's regions where it wouldn't be. I mean, it's not everyone who's getting divorced,
Well, right. And we talk about that. So it's only been 50 years that women could get a mortgage on their own.
I
And I
know
think it's been about that
it's
since they could get a credit card. So think
crazy
about
that is.
that. Yeah, it's 1975. Okay,
So, and
that's
I, because this is how I have to understand it. I was alive for 11 years.
right. Right.
In
I was alive for 7 years. Yes, exactly. And
did not
so
mortgage. It's insane.
it's so insane. And so when people say like, well, my grandma, she stood by my grandpa. Okay, well, she also didn't have a choice to get out because she would have been destitute. She also would have been socially shunned. It was different because I look at my mom. I look at my grandmother. Now, of course, my grandparents don't live. At the time they didn't live in this country. But I also think, would they have left? I don't know. I just societally it was not appropriate to leave.
Right. It's not. So let's just say you're in a relationship for decades and decades. You build
Yeah.
this, you have a family, you build this future. You look forward, like, okay, we're going to save our money. And when we retire, we're going to travel
Yeah.
and we're going to take care of our grandchildren together. And you have all these beautiful dreams. And we're going to travel with our friends that we've known for 30 years. And we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then boom, your everything changed. The whole world
Yeah.
changes. And so now, um, you know, you have half the money
Right. Yeah.
and not the income coming anymore because maybe you've retired or you're about to retire.
Yeah.
Hard to get a job when you're in your 50s and 60s. It's just
Indeed.
you're not,
Yes.
just
I
hard.
just experienced that trying to get a
No,
job.
so and not everyone's able to redefine themselves.
Yeah.
Start this fresh start, and and then all of a sudden, so you have less money, and you're starting, so your dreams are just,
Yeah.
change. You've got to come up, and now you're alone, and like you said, people are pushing you to date, but maybe you're not ready to date, and
Right.
it's good to date so quickly because you need to work through some of the stuff.
Yeah.
And you're out on your own, and I mean, as I said, I've done a lot of work with hospice, so I walked through with people who've lost people through death.
Okay.
um, Walking in that house if you're still in the same home, and it's a huge loss,
Yeah.
especially the one that wanted the divorce.
Right.
You
Yeah.
got
And all
no,
those things are you have to take into consideration, but you really don't know what's on the other side. And I think fear, at least with the women I work with, fear keeps a lot of them stuck because they say, I love my home, I want to stay in my home and all that. And I think you don't know what's on the other side. And also this home, I am like, if you work with me, I don't like mess around. You're going to get straight shooting from me because when we are trauma bonded, which is what we're chemically bonded to people when we've, especially like an abuser who's giving us intermittent reinforcement. And I lived in a one room with, in my brother's house after my divorce. That made me happier than living in my beautiful home. because I had peace. And yes, I was alone, but I wasn't lonely. I still had lots of friends. I joined lots of groups. These are the things that we don't know what's going to happen. Yes, our life is going to change, but don't let that stop you from moving forward. We just need to take the next right step. We don't need to see the end, or
And
we'll never do it.
change could be good. The new chapter can be a good,
Yes.
even if
Yeah.
you don't see it right away, and even if it doesn't feel good. But I imagine what it feels like if you're in a relationship with someone that you're still in love with,
Oh,
who
yeah.
you really did, you've known forever. I mean, and the person, for whatever reason, decides to walk, one person walks out. I'm
Yeah.
not two people are mutually splitting and it's a right decision and you're still friends, because that happens too.
Right. Right.
But for the one, for every, for the one that, did, when one makes, because you hear, I think even on the Oprah interview, didn't they talk, one person say that she came downstairs one day or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and her husband said, I'm, you know,
Yeah, and so I've had people who ask me like, out of the blue, he wants a divorce, and I said it was only out of the blue for you. It wasn't out of the blue for him. He's been thinking about it. That's why all of a sudden, you walk downstairs. I have to tell you, this happened to more than one of my friends. Their husbands. Well, of course, now once they say they want a divorce and they walk out, we find out that there's been second lives going on or other, affairs or whatever. But many of them just woke up one day and said, I'm all done. But we have to remember, it wasn't just it didn't just happen, one morning for them. They've been thinking about it. So that's the hard part. So that's the first thing we need to go take care of, is because that trauma, that's going to hit us and it's going to bring up all the things in us. You're going
so
to feel terrible. So that's why I always recommend trauma informed therapy, holistic therapy, coaching, all the things to help you feel better.
the
If
person,
you don't deal with it, you're going to feel like you're dying anyway, because that's horrible. Like the person you love, you're spending decades with, or really any length of time. But for this, with great divorce, you could be spending decades with somebody and then all of a sudden, you know, they say, I'm out. And it's heartbreaking.
it is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So people go through depression, anxiety,
Yeah.
substance abuse to deal with things.
Yeah.
It really is a time to surround yourself by friends who are compassionate, loving, judgmental.
Yes.
But as I said before, sometimes people lose friends. Now,
Yeah.
they're siding with the other person, or the
Right.
couple want a single person in their group. And sometimes the person that's left um, it has to go out and seek new friendships, which is very hard to do when you're 55, 60,
Yeah.
65 years
It
old.
can't. It can be done. It can be done.
Oh, yeah. And it's not the same where you're going to work every day and you see people.
No.
Maybe you are, but let's assume that I'm talking about people who aren't necessarily.
Right.
It's
Exactly. Yeah.
a hard thing to to redefine yourself now, later in life. It is, and yeah,
Yeah. I wanted to say something about the friend thing too. It's not always that. It's just that. Um, there's couples, and then you don't fit in, that kind of thing. But sometimes your friends have never dealt with divorce before, and they don't even know how to handle it. And with me having factors of abuse, I had friends who didn't know how to deal with it. And so they did not become people I wanted to talk to about that. And so we have to remember that even though we have good friends in this new stage of life, they may not know how to it's their own comfort level. They don't know how to handle us because they've never dealt with, well, maybe they've never had their friend go through a divorce. And so they don't know what to do, how to treat you.
well,
And so you'll find the people that will support you.
people come to you, meaning everyone that you talk to,
Yeah.
personally, but anyone talks to, are people who have come with their own stuff. They come with their own past, their own history,
Yes.
their own experiences. So first of all, their advice may not even be the right advice, because their
Right.
advice from what it could be shaded, whatever. That's why I think go to therapy, which is what you had said
Yeah.
before. You have someone who's trained, who's not going to project their own stuff onto you.
Right.
They've never been through it, and truthfully, you weren't through it either, so you don't know how you're gonna be feeling from one day to the next, and there'll be days where you may really need someone,
Yeah.
and where you may be all over the place, and sometimes people who aren't trained don't know how to handle that. It could be scary for them.
Yeah.
And when you get people that say, the darnest things, right? All there to help, but they don't, or get up, pull up your bootstraps and get
I
out there.
know. Yeah.
You don't, no, you need to go through your process. And
You
again,
do.
work with a professional because maybe you're inside for 6 months is too long, or maybe,
Right.
but you should be allowed to go through the heal before you carry on, as my mother would say, carry on. That was her.
Right. Yeah. And you don't know how you're going to react because even though I was happy to get a divorce, um, I was a mess. I just would lay in bed and cry. And also, if we've been in any kind of abuse or we've been in any kind of situation where you feel like you were on edge all the time or walking on eggshells, man, when you get out of that, your body just wants to rest. Your nervous system is, regulating again. And so you get kind of tired. So I had a lot of well-meaning friends who said, try these things. And then a therapist who said, say yes to some good things, but also you have to rest and exercise. So even though they're contradictory, it's like go outside, get some sunshine because we know sunshine will help, and go for a walk. And
Well,
it was great to walk with people who understood me and could chat about it if I wanted to. And then other times it was just great to walk by myself.
I happen to love groups for
Yeah.
people.
Oh yeah.
You find the right one,
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
meeting friends who are going through it at the same time. Like, I always recommend grief groups because of that reason.
Yeah, there's so many good groups. You can find them like locally, look on Facebook, as events as well, Meetup and Eventbrite. And because right now I have an in-person group that's scheduled, and I also have an online group because that is the biggest thing that people say that they need. At first I wasn't sure, but people were like, I want to talk to other people who are like me, who are dealing with what I'm dealing with. And that's when you feel seen and heard. And that's, of course, why we do what we do, so that people don't feel alone in this whole thing, and that they don't feel like a weirdo for having these feelings, or for, grieving maybe a marriage that they didn't even want to be in. It's all
Well,
normal. And that's the thing for me, is I didn't know any of this. But as I started to learn and people said, this is normal, I'm like, oh, okay. Then you feel okay about it.
and I think it's the same experience because I said I'm a hospice social worker. So telling someone when you hear what they're going through and telling them that it's normal. Again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it if it's not normal. I'm going
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really, but almost most of the time, it is normal what they're going through, and
Yes.
that is really very important because they get scared, right?
Oh
And,
yeah, for
and
sure.
yes, you can grieve a marriage you didn't want to be in because of all the things we talked about. You're grieving what you thought
Yeah.
in the future. You're grieving who you thought that person was. You're grieving your dream of being married,
Yeah, what could have been, all the things, like just all the things.
and it
Uh,
hurts.
it does. Yeah, it does. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in the marriage, but yeah, I miss that whole thing, having a partner and all that. I mean, not enough to go out of the house and date, but
But you acknowledge you miss it, even if you're not trying to do it again, right?
yes, exactly. Yes.
And
Yeah, I do, but I do value my peace. And I think I'm still in that healing process of valuing my peace. And like I said, I'm very introverted, with extrovert qualities, but so I recharge alone. Um, and so it's not a problem. Like my son went out to a football game. Great. It's just me and my cat. And that to me is very relaxing because I feel like, you know, when you have somebody else around all the time, you might get overstimulated. I know I do. And that, I think it's all part of menopause and everything else. And so that's funny to me when they were talking about that on Oprah, when they, when they said he was retired 3 months and we were in the divorce office. You just don't know how it's going to be when you're with somebody. And so I just don't even want to think about that right now until I feel like I can deal
well,
with myself.
but and I just talk about that one little bit. I think in today's society,
Yeah.
really are teaching people to be authentic. We're teaching people to be happy. We're
Yeah.
teaching people to be happy with themselves. We're giving permission, and I say we, but all the people on social media and all the people
Yeah.
in society as a whole now in America, again, I don't, we are giving permission for people to make choices that make them feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
So in a marriage, even if you're 65 years old, you
Yeah.
know, um, you are entitled to be happy.
Yes.
Now, you know, you can choose to try to make the marriage better. You can make whatever choice you want, but
Right.
there's certainly societal permission to say
Yes.
seeking happiness is, you know,
Right. And I think that's the thing I think is important is that, societally as women, we are taught to like give of ourselves and put everybody else first and kind of abandon ourselves. I mean, that's definitely the rhetoric as as women, as young girls that we're taught. And and so we don't have to do that anymore. And if we have a willing participant, a willing partner, I did not have a willing partner because I was like, I want to better myself. And then I think we should better the marriage. He actually took offense to that. And so that's where I think you see
what was
breakdown.
losing control of you? What do you think was going?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So he was starting, yeah, when I was learning how to set boundaries and I was starting to love myself more and stuff like that,
It was
to
threatening.
him, it seemed like he was losing control
Yeah.
because he couldn't manipulate me as much. I was starting to see the cracks.
It was a
And so
narcissist.
when you have a willing participant, two willing participants in the marriage, then you can say, you know what? I want to move into this next season of our life together. So what do you want? And those kinds of things. I never, he wanted to have those conversations, but they were never safe, because they were always manipulated. So he would be like, I don't want to do that, so it didn't make sense. So now I'm clear and I know what I want to do. And I can have a conversation with somebody. I'm not going to shape shift to figure that out with them.
So if I would say to you, how do you identify yourself right now? Who are you?
As a person,
Whatever. Answer
uh,
any
what
answer.
do you mean?
Well, I say like when we lose our identity, we lose the identity we have. We don't lose our identity. We lose the
Oh,
identity
right.
we had before
Exactly.
marriage ends, but we create the new normal, the new person.
Yes. Yes.
You see yourself. Like if you could throw like some adjectives
I
out at
see. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I'm a confident person who walks in the world who loves others and actually listens to others to hear different points of view. But I walk in the world aware of others, and I'm a confident, kind, loving person. I'm
you.
funny. Um, I'm loyal. I hate saying I'm loyal because I don't want to take be
Loyal's a good
taken
thing,
advantage
by the
of.
way, with the right, it's because someone could take advantage, doesn't make it, you still should be.
Exactly. I know. I'm loyal. Yeah, I'm loyal in friendships and things like that. That's why it's hard for me to even understand like when it's hard when friendships end or they change. Yeah. So different things like that. Yeah.
So all those things you could shine now, not having
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
washed because this is your situation. Not everyone. Some people get divorced and they did have a good marriage before
Right.
divorce. But with your situation, that marriage squashed you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because especially if you're in abuse, then it's hard because they don't want you to be quote unquote better than them or anything. Like if I said I was funny or loving or kind, he would go, "Really?" And so now I learned that in therapy. Like I would have to write those things over and over and over. What are you? Who are you? And because I would get
Who are
scared. Yes. I would
literally
get scared to say it because in the past he would go like, "Well, you're not really kind.
okay.
You're not, those
I
kinds
want
of things."
to do a hug. I am so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. No, I mean, that's the past. I've actually done a lot of healing. I mean, that Laura doesn't exist anymore. She doesn't buy into that bullshit anymore. So, but thank you. I appreciate it. He's got his own damage he has to deal with. And this is why I talk because I don't think it's okay. Like we all have trauma. Some of us went to therapy to deal with it. Otherwise we do go around bleeding all over other people, and so many people are doing that now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're proof in the pudding. that you can get divorced
Yeah.
as a, I mean, you've been
It's,
a great divorce.
yes.
I
I would,
think that I had a great divorce also, although my marriage wasn't as long because it was
yeah,
not marriage.
right.
I
Yeah.
also had a divorce, and then I moved across the country
Okay.
and
And did
started
you
my own.
decide to do that just because you wanted to, or did you have family, or what did you decide to do?
No, I had nobody here. I shouldn't say
Wow.
my son was in college here when I did it,
Okay.
but I had wanted to live out west. I wanted to live in Colorado, and then when I discovered California, I wanted to live in California for since my 20s.
Yeah.
And so I was always going to move here, and even when I was in my last marriage, I'm like, I'm moving here when my daughter graduates. You're coming or you're not coming, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I didn't like announce this thing, but in my brain, and
Yes.
we had gotten divorced anyway. So, and it's this literally the second she graduated, I packed up everything. My parents had died, so I didn't have the ties that I had to, But in my view, before my parents or my father died, because he was here 5 years longer, I visioned he was coming too. Like we were going to get houses side by.
Yeah.
But I was going no matter what happened,
Right.
and so I packed up the car with my kids, and it took 10 days to come out here, and it was the best decision I've made besides having my children, of course,
Yeah.
and being a social worker. But I'm
Right.
so happy, and then like the work that I do, I'm still
Hmm.
volunteering as a hospice social worker, so I'm still my foot is still in the hospice social work world, but all this other stuff is brand new, and I redefined myself, and you can, and I'm so happy.
That's
And
amazing. Yeah.
but it's a lot because I was in that, mine was, this abusive world for most of my life. So
Yeah.
it's,
How old were you when you did that?
when I got in the car and ran,
Yeah. Yes.
pulled my vision, 51.
Yeah. So I was 55 when we got divorced. Yeah. So, I mean, we still have a lot of life left. And I think that, for me, that's why I decided to get a divorce because I thought, what if I live another 40 years? I can't do it. And
Well, that
and the funny thing is they did mention that on the Oprah show when I was listening to the podcast. They mentioned that because
I
people
wrote about.
they're living longer. So you get to a certain age and you go, am I doing this like for
I
another
that
40
in my
years?
blog as well. Longevity is it. The fact is, people are living at least 10 years longer than they did.
Yes. Yes.
Years or six. I've got to look. I had the stats month,
Okay.
and and some people even longer. So you could have 5, 10. I mean, you could have 10,
Yes.
20, 30, even 40. There are people living to 100,
Right.
and you have a chance. I had a chance. I took the chance. You took the chance.
Yes. Yes.
Um, to actually have a happy life. And I didn't see myself, and you don't see yourself yet. We'll see, it may change. When I moved out here, ever being with anybody. That wasn't. I didn't. I mean, I love being coupled, obviously, because
Yeah.
like I told you, I was married more than once, but I
Yeah.
didn't as long as you were. It was just
Oh, with different people. Yeah.
right. But I was always with someone, and that's a whole nother story we can get
Of
into.
course. Yeah.
But
We'll
I
talk
love.
about that on the podcast.
Right, yes. But I do love the concept of being part of a couple
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
the concept of it, and when it's a good thing because
Right.
it's fun.
It is fun. And the thing is that with choices, so and women, I think, well, in societally with women, we talk about mental health, I think, more than men do. And men are not societally taught to talk about that, which I wish it was different. And I know there are men who are starting to talk about it and men are going to therapy. So I'm really glad about that. But women still, we still talk about that more. And so I think our quality of like what we will accept anymore is so high. And it's like, we're not going to marry you just because you have money. Because if you can't meet our quality of like emotional intelligence and all of that, then what's the point? What's the point of that? Because, well, especially at this age, like maybe I would have done that in my 20s and I probably did, like, just pick somebody because they're handsome and they paid attention to me. But,
well, we had a nice car. I mean, the things you pick when you're a teenager is very.
oh my gosh, I
Let me
have
ask you.
to tell.
Go on, tell me.
So I broke up with my boyfriend of a lot of years, and he got an amazing brand new car. His parents bought him this car, whatever, and so It's like, I don't remember who said, I think it was my best friend said, oh, you'll get back together with him if you see the car. And I told my dad, and he goes, well, have you seen the car? I'm just like, that's not
Hello.
enough. it's not, it's not enough.
Ask you a question. So we talked. So now, and I'm so glad we're having this discussion about Great Divorce. But let's look at one of the newest reality shows out there is Golden Bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy. I was so happy when they brought that out.
Okay.
And or you look at also people in movies; they're all older now again.
Yes, yes.
Where people can actually be their age. Glenn Close, Jane Fonda,
Yes.
a whole generation of people out there that are still working, and they don't
Right.
have to be younger. They're working and they're playing their age,
Yeah.
and important roles. They're not just like the grandmother. Not that that's not a really important role.
I really wish that they would. The one thing I do really wish is that when you see these, we're going to go quote unquote older guys that are maybe in their 40s or 50s, I wish they wouldn't put them with like a 30 something woman.
Oh,
They're still doing that. I
movie.
can't stand it. I can't stand it. Like, you know, to me, it's like, I don't know, maybe in the last Top Gun, I don't remember the whole thing, but I know they didn't ask, Kelly McGillis to come back. And it's like, of course not. She goes, I look like a 60 something year old woman. So of course they're not asking me back. That's what she said.
All
She
right.
said, I look my age and they're not going to ask me back. Now, when Tom Cruise looks like, a vampire, I call it a vampire because he doesn't age, so he's got a painting in his closet somewhere, it's that kind of thing. It's like I wish they would pair like a real man and a real a real woman, maybe the same age.
See, one of my most favorite movies. I mean, I have a ton of favorite movies, but it's complicated. Did you ever see that?
I did. I have to watch it again. Yeah, I think it's come up on like suggested for me. Yeah.
Go watch it. We'll talk about it once.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no, I mean but it's all about it's like about this stuff. Actually, we should have watched it before we
Right.
had
It's
this.
about this stuff. Okay. Yeah.
But we but no, but it's the two of them split, and then he's with someone else, and then they he's
Yeah.
but they still had a spark, and you'll see.
Yeah, and I know, and I have watched it, but it's been a while, and that's the thing too. And I think with the funny thing to me is always like you see like in real life, you'll see like a man who is like with a younger woman, and I know that that's to help them feel younger. I know they're going through their own midlife crisis, whatever, and maybe when women are going through a midlife crisis, we just end up wanting a divorce. I don't know.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Because I
No, well, like with some of these stars, like
yeah.
oh my God, Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger, with
Yeah.
what do you talk about?
It
I know
just,
that you don't talk, but as
oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, it amazes me. And look, whatever, to each his own, but
no,
yeah, it's,
but some of the things that bring you intimacy and closeness is you remember when
yeah,
was elected, and you talk about like I was when Reagan was elected.
yes, exactly. Yeah. My ex and I were almost the same age. So yeah, we had similar experiences in high school and, talking about the 80s and that to me was fun. We have similar experiences. And so that to me was fun to talk about. I don't think I would want to date somebody who's a lot older unless they're willing to learn about you and you're willing to learn about them, like that kind of thing. To me, that's okay. Like do whatever you want.
There's different time periods in our life where the age makes more of a difference. Like when
It does.
you're 8 and 28, for example.
No, it does, because actually I used to have a different podcast, and actually we actually looked it up. Why can you remember songs from your teenage years, but you can't remember why you walked in the kitchen? There's a reason. Those are your formative years. They're truly formative, even for your brain. And so, so why can I, like, the minute I hear an 80s song, I can tell you every word, every beat,
Me
but
too.
I don't remember why I walked in the kitchen. So, but it's okay, so there was something else I was going to say about, the funny thing is, like, whenever, like, if they catch a man with like a double life, he has an entire other family or something. You'll never find a woman doing that. It's like we're too tired. We don't want an entire other life with another family. We're good with just one. That's plenty.
We also put our 100% into whatever family we put into.
Exactly.
Do that twice.
I seriously, and I think that's true because you don't see that very often. But that's the way we were built as men and women, really, right? Women are such nurturers. So not that men can't be, but women truly are. You know.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Anything you want to add before we close?
I'm looking over here. No, I don't think so. Um, Thanks for stopping by, everybody. And if you're watching this on the replay, yeah, leave us a question or tell us about your experience. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Love you all.
Yes. Thanks, Jessica.
I love
All right.
you.
Talk
Bye.
to you later. Bye.